now like to introduce His Excellency, Mr. Gilad Erdan, the permanent representative of Israel to the United Nations. Your Excellency, please take the floor.
Secretary General, President of the General Assembly, distinguished delegates, survivors and their descendants, scholars and honored guests, thank you for joining us today. I would also like to thank Undersecretary General Fleming and the UN Outreach Program on the Holocaust for their important work. Thank you very much. Friends, today we remember the darkest moment in human history. Within a few short years, the Nazis and their collaborators systematically murdered 6 million Jews. Individuals, families, communities, and entire towns, including my grandfather's wife, Bracha, and 7 of his children, my own aunts and uncles, literally turned to smoke and ashes, all due to burning hatred. Before I continue, I will add that my parents, Avinoam and Yehudit Erdan, children of Holocaust survivors, are here with us today, a symbol of resilience in the face of unimaginable loss. Yet, the hatred that my grandparents and millions of other Jews faced during that dark time wasn't born overnight. It was the result of evil lies repeated over and over again. The Holocaust began with words that quickly mutated into unspeakable violence. And now, only 78 years after the liberation of Auschwitz, these same words of baseless hatred are once again spreading across the globe like wildfire. Anti-Semitism is rapidly rising, and while it begins with words, we can already see the calamity's results. My people are being threatened, injured, and murdered solely for being Jews. In Israel, the Jewish state, innocent Jews remain the targets of terror. If any lesson was learned from the Holocaust, dear friends, it is to stand up for the Jewish people while we defend ourselves against violence. This is the true embodiment of never again. And friends, this ceremony's theme today is home and belonging. Home and belonging. Today, thank God, unlike during the horrors of the Holocaust, there is a Jewish state, a place for every Jew to call home. While Israel is the Jewish homeland, we must not forget what this institution is. It is also a home of memories. The UN was founded upon the ashes of the Holocaust. It was established to ensure that such darkness never befall humanity again. It is a living monument to the horrors suffered by the Jewish people all those decades ago, to the greatest tragedy in history. And as such, it is the UN's responsibility to lead the world in combating hatred. Yet today, when it comes to fighting anti-Semitism, sadly, the UN ignores its purpose. Educational programs are very, very important. Learning about history is crucial. But at a time when anti-Semitism is on the rise and Holocaust denial is spreading, I'm sorry, words are not enough. Verbal commitments are not enough. In the past year, what has the UN done to combat bigotry? There's a politicized, we all know it, an institutionalized bias among member states here at the UN. This bias is the source of the disproportionate number of anti-Israeli resolutions. And it is also the force behind inherent distortions, such as the Human Rights Council's anti-Semitic Agenda Item 7, mandating Israel bashing at every council session. So singling out the one and only Jewish state, yes, it is anti-Semitism. And on Holocaust Remembrance Day, it is our duty to call out this heinous double standard. But friends, when I ask what the UN has done to combat bigotry, I am not referring to the politically motivated anti-Semitism of member states. I am referring to the Jew hatred among UN employees, professionals, bodies, and agencies. What has the UN's done to combat this bigotry? Despicable actions take place here that no amount of Holocaust outreach can atone for. Milon Kutari, a member of a formal UN commission, openly espoused a classic anti-Semitic canard, a libel reminiscent of the Nazi propagandist Goebbels. Yet, shockingly, Mr. Kutari still remains in his position while not a single statement has been issued by a senior UN official condemning his bigotry. The same can be said of Francesca Albanese, a UN special rapporteur who voices anti-Semitic falsehoods and belittles the Holocaust through distorted comparisons. Similar to Mr. Kutari, Ms. Albanese still remains in her role and has been met with zero UN condemnations. How about UN organizations such as UNRWA? Blatant anti-Semitism and Nazi glorification run rampant among its employees. I personally complained. Numerous complaints have been lodged, only to be met with no real response. When it comes to anything that occurs in Israel, this institution is very vocal and quick to respond and condemn. But when it comes to Jew hatred, the silence is deafening. Friends, this double standard is disgraceful. UN agencies such as OCHA and others use distorted methodologies to count Israeli victims and casualties of terror, minimizing their number. Over 1,000 entities around the globe have already adopted the IHRA working definition of anti-Semitism. Nevertheless, this institution, which should have been the very first body to adopt the definition, preferred to stand on the sidelines. In the very place that is supposed to set an example for the rest of the world, the tens of thousands of UN employees still don't even have guidelines defining what Jew hatred means. Mr. Secretary General, our dear friend, verbal support is a positive first step, and we commend you for that. But today, actions are needed. Actions are needed. Dear friends, today we commemorate the darkest stain in human history. We speak of never again. We give speeches of commitment, but as long as these words are not backed up by actions, they remain empty. We all know that the libels of anti-Semitism are always followed by horrific actions. So I ask that our words today, I beg you, that our words today also be followed by actions. The UN must remember its mission and history. It must take a stand against anti-Semitism rather than permitting it to fester and mutate into violence. This, friends, is our collective duty, and if you refuse to do so for my sake, do so for the sake of the 6 million. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Ambassador Erdan.